have put down is basically just the spending powers among Europe's top 5 leagues. Obviously, this has come up over the last couple of podcasts as well and videos, just because of the whole Newcastle incident. They've been bought by possibly the richest consortium in the world. So, I was thinking maybe we just kick it off there, start with Newcastle.
Yeah.
Based just around the owners, what we think going forward. I know we briefly touched on it the other day, and we'll work our way into the other big names in England and then just slowly branch out over the other European powers like PSG and stuff like that. So, but now what do you make of the whole Newcastle thing? And there's a lot more transfer rumours the last few days.
It's mad. They're a fucking hot topic, aren't they? I think what you're saying is there's obviously not as much money to be made in oil, so they're all diversifying out into all these clubs now. Obviously there's rumours and stories about the owners of Newcastle, the lads putting the money up behind this, and it's obviously not good what you read and all. But if you take that side away from it and just look at it from like a football perspective, I mean, it immediately turns them into a big player. Obviously short term now, but within a few years, they're coming in straight away. They're ruffling feathers. They're making changes. Steve Bruce is probably going to get the bullet.
Nothing like, yeah.
Would you sack him?
You get good odds on him to be gone within a week, I reckon.
Yeah.
Would you get rid of him?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
It seems quite harsh and sudden. Like, who are they going to bring in a week? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the point. But I think from the point of view as well, we've openly said it's going to be a slow process. It could be 18, 24 months before they start to get the calibre of player that they essentially want to build in that team. So, like, they could still be looking at a low finish this year, I think.
Yeah.
They could still be around 13th to 15th, And I think when you think about it, like, how many different managers have been in that position with that experience. Ultimately, it hasn't worked for Bruce in the past, but I think they'd be mad to change it now. And so if you bring in, they're going to look to bring in someone who's challenging for titles and stuff like that. He's not. Are they necessarily equipped to be dealing with the back end of the season, the games coming thick and fast, relegation traps, those kind of issues around motivating the players, So I would stick with them personally, but
I think the problem is with that is that, I mean, I'm a big fan of Steve Bruce, but I think when it sort of comes to these owners coming in and buying a club, and now, I mean, straight away they're targeting winning the Premier League in 10 years, making bold statements. Football almost becomes a brand. The club is now a brand. It's not a football club anymore, as much as the fans would like to think and get behind it. Now they're a brand, and I don't think Steve Bruce really fits the brand that they're probably trying to deliver. Brucey with his black eyes.
But how will the Newcastle fans react to that, though? Because ultimately, over the last few years, they've been giving out that this is a football club. This is not a business. Now they're moving from one end of the business spectrum to the other end, essentially. So
I think they've been starved for so long, though. They've hated their owners. Like, I think everyone knows you would prefer it not to be the people taking over that have that baggage, because obviously it's not good.
Listen, how bad must Mike Ashley be?
Yeah.
Happy with the Saudi Arabian state.
But anybody who, at the end of the day, Newcastle fans are fans. I don't think people really they just want to see their team go out and watch good players and get results and hopefully do well in the league. And I think even if they don't go and win everything in the next 5 years, just to be competitive and to actually have something to be proud about and something decent to watch, after so long of them just dropping down. And Newcastle have a good history, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very loyal fans. But these owners are coming in, they're going to shake it all up. A couple of the rumours that are quite impressive. I don't know if you heard of this Luis Campos fella that they're looking at.
He was the Monaco and Sevilla director, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was with, he's the one that allegedly anyway found Mbappe and Martial, Fabinho, Bernardo Silva. Monaco have an outrageous scouting system. And then he was with Lille and they just won the league against PSG last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get someone like that is a big statement, and you get someone like him, and then you have someone like Conte or someone with a decent name or caliber as a manager. Those players will come.
And do you think that's the direction then that they're going to push down these owners? Like, do you reckon they'll manage from the top, but manage bottom line and bring in the individuals a little bit like City have, with your man Cheeky Bergstein and all them, and bring these guys in to ultimately make the footballing decisions? Or will they have a bit more of a hands-on approach like Abramovich did for years before bringing in like Marina Granskovia and those kind of people? Or what way do we think they're going to go with this?
I mean, to be honest, I think that's going to take more of a backseat. I think the stuff that's gone on with the consortium, and are they part of the Saudi Arabian state? Are they not? And I mean, it's the biggest. It's crap anyway. We all know who's funded them. We all know how it's gone. The fact that they was out of the game before, in terms of buying them, all of a sudden there's a dispute over piracy of the 3 p.m. kickoffs in Saudi Arabia. It's sorted in 24 hours. They buy the club. Yeah. But I do think for public sort of relations, they still got to keep up a charade. And I think the consortium will sort of take a bit of a backseat, I think, if they get a big enough name.
Yeah.
So are we saying here that the Saudis could actually, because it's essentially the government buying them, they could own land in the UK?
Yeah, exactly. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah. I could see... I don't think they're going to have a part to play publicly at all. I think they know they just have to be the bankrollers here. And over time, they'll, as I said, they have to diversify with what's going on with oil and all around the world. A big sporting brand, it's a good investment, especially, 300 million is a lot of money for everyone, of course. But for these guys, it would have cost them billions to buy Man United.
It's a hobby for these.
Yeah. And then you have Stavely, you're one that's going to be the face of it and stuff like that. I think
what a face.
Oh, God. She's like that yoke out of Saw, isn't she? That little yoke on the bike?
That's
but, they've come out and they've held like a little conference with like Newcastle fans and all already. So the stuff they're saying is really positive and all. And, what Newcastle fans have had to go through, I'd say they're loving this at the minute. So you've seen them all pissed outside in 10 minutes after it was announced.
They are a good bunch of fans, though, as you've touched on, like, for years. Like, I remember, even, if you think back when you watched, like, the Premier League years and from, like, 94 to 96, when Newcastle, when they were challenging, with competing, I'd say. The atmosphere around St. James's was electric, and they had players like Asprey and stuff like that. They had really bought into the club, and now for such a long time they've had absolutely nothing. So a bit of life around the area.
I think it's really smart as well, because they didn't just go and buy a random club with no history. Newcastle have history, they have Alan Shearer, good players that have come through there. A recognised stadium, like football fans know of Newcastle. So to get them for 300 million, it kind of shows how shit your man ran them into the ground.
Yeah. But do you not think now there's a danger that, they got great fans and stuff like that, but a billionaire owner comes in? You look at Man City. I remember the days when Man City used to fill out Main Road in the old Division 2. They had great fans. They was the people's club in Manchester. Sorry, Craig. But,
I don't know.
This is what
shots fired.
But they used. In the old Division 2, they would be having 30,000 every week. And people were praising Leeds a couple of seasons ago for doing the same thing. Now all of a sudden, billionaire owners come in, new stadium. There's the old joke of they haven't got any fans and whatever. Don't you think there's a danger that comes with a big billionaire coming in, buying up the club? All of a sudden, there's some fun in being shit. I spoke Fulham, I should know.
And we're stuck with Ireland.
What more than being down the boozer on a Saturday getting your arse skipped? Is there about Fulham being shit?
Punishment, mate.
I think some clubs can lose their identity a little bit. I think Arsenal have. They moved to a new stadium. Like Highbury was such iconic. A huge part of their history. But they were, these American cowboys came in and just took over, and they didn't care about the history. I think these owners seem to be somewhat more intelligent with the whole football community, and they know that they have to to get involved with the fans. And I think even the most hardcore loyal Newcastle fans are so happy to get rid of your man and to have a chance to just watch good football and get some decent names in. So I think they have to be smart. You know, you don't want to do an Arsenal job on it, but I think they will do the right things. You know, the people they're being linked with are legit people. You know, they're proper football people. And I think Newcastle fans would be proud of that, you know?
Yeah. No, they do. It does seem to be a lot of smart boys they're looking at, you know, to kind of stabilise the ship and move in that direction they want to go, rather so than just being ridiculous at the start and throwing money at everybody. But I do think, as we touched on before, the inflation that's going to come with their bids will be astronomical. Yeah. It'll take the whole market again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They'll have to pay over the odds.
I do think it'll be good for football, though. I think it'll be good for the Premier League. Have another team in there.
It's just a playground now, isn't it? It's a billionaire's playground. A billionaire isn't even enough in the Premiership anymore. It's a multi-billionaire, you know? Yeah. You need and even that is different now.
We're feeling poor here now behind me in comparison to these lads. You know what I mean?
When do you reckon Jeff Bezos and Amazon are going to come in and buy someone?
They'll probably create a club, mate. Like it'll just appear in like London somewhere, a pop-up stadium or something.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming like its own Super League in a way, you know.
Yeah,
like I think the other leagues in Europe are gonna. I mean, they're already struggling with how successful the Premier League is. It's gonna get worse. I could actually see potentially like a mainland Europe league where the likes of Bayern and PSG and Inter AC, they're in a league of their own because they're domestic leagues. I mean, there are one or two main boys in each league. Do you know what I mean? It's not real.
Yeah. So what do we think then the effect this will have on the other Premier League clubs, the bigger clubs? Like, obviously we've seen the bit of hesitancy and they're contesting a few things. Obviously that will all be forgotten about in a week or two's time, but
I mean,
as closed, you know. But how do we think they'll fare? Do you reckon we'll see them start to spend now? Obviously, we had mentioned, you know, Liverpool. They've been trying so hard to balance the books, but then the success they've had, they haven't spent it. Do you reckon these will start to try compete and snap these players up before Newcastle get a chance? Or
I mean, I think they got a few years yet anyway, so I think they got a head start. I think in the Premiership in general, at the minute. Well, not at the minute, it's been like it probably for the last 20 years. You've got to keep improving. Every single year you have to invest, reinvest. I mean, we've seen it with Arsenal. Spurs are probably clinging on at the minute. They need a good season this year.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have a couple of seasons off or a couple of seasons without investment and you do well to stay up with the pack. I mean, United have done really well to turn it around, I think. They was on their way out of that, you know, big four, if we say.
Yeah.
But they do have the history to still attract players if they wasn't in Europe for a couple of seasons. But then after that, what do you do? So I think they've got a few seasons yet, but, you know, I think everyone has to invest. And doubly so now.
Yeah.
But for a few years, I think they still got the lure of European football. They'll be all right competing with Newcastle for now.
Yeah.
But
I'd be in agreement with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of clubs are going to struggle until other big investors come in and buy out clubs or buy percentages of clubs. And like, you know, United, like obviously we have money as well, but we're not going to be able to spend at the level Newcastle are in the long run. Do you know what I mean? And Liverpool, definitely not. Like Liverpool, you know, what like Andrew was saying, like they kind of have to take a different approach. They just will not spend as big. They won't even pay Salah big money just to keep him. Do you know what I mean?
Ridiculous, yeah.
You know, it's shocking. And I think it puts pressure on a lot of clubs, you know. City and Chelsea are going to have a lot of competition for players when they're spending the silly money. But Spurs and Arsenal, like they are just going to, for me, I just see them falling further and further down.
Yeah.
You know?
So what do we make of the whole Harry Kane thing then? When we're touching on Spurs, shite start to the season, is he throwing the Dodie out of the buggy a little bit? Or
I don't know.
Can he not? Go on.
Sorry, mate, you can't.
Oh yeah, can he not find his form again, or what's happening? Does he not want to be there?
I don't know. He's probably got a hangover from the Euros, probably like half the country still have. But he's, I think he always has a bit of a slow start to the season. I think he'll come good. He was poor the other night for England, I thought.
Yeah, very poor. The statistics were quite worrying if you're a Spurs fan going into the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, he does seem to always come good, Harry Kane, and then he'll probably come good, and it'll be the same old stuff. He wants to leave. So.
Yeah, like
it's repetitive now at this stage, isn't it? It's like
exactly.
the yearly topic. It's been like Sancho to United for the last 6 years or whatever it is.
Fuck off.
And now look what's happened.
Harry Kane, you know, he's world class at the end of the day. I think he's suffering because Spurs have a lack of quality around him. Son is unbelievable. I take Son in a heartbeat at United.
Yeah, in fact, yeah.
The Spurs have been an average squad for a long, long time. Even when they did well in the Champions League, you know, a lot of that was Pochettino, and you know.
So we reckon Pochettino was overachieving.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's shocking that Levy fella has to take some responsibility at some point with Spurs.
Yeah.
Best stadium in the world, loyal fans, fill out the stadium, travel well, had world-class players in Son and Kane, had a top up-and-coming coach in Pochettino, and they didn't build on it. And I think I don't blame
Kane. They were very
Kane.
slow to react to all that, weren't they? They didn't back them. They didn't back Pochettino, it seemed.
No, and they're going to suffer with the big spenders in this league, and I don't think they're going to be able to compete, even with that fancy stadium or whatever. Kane will eventually leave. I think they won't attract big players at that point.
Yeah.
So I see Spurs struggling.
Realistically, I think Kane probably next summer might be his last chance. What's he now? 28, pushing 29.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get it next summer, he might find himself tied to the Tottenham Hotspur stage in the next few years. You know,
he's 29. Kane is 29 with 60-year-old ankles.
Yeah, I think he'll need to sell himself again this year and try to get that move. And as you said, if he were to leave, I think that you could see a snowball effect. You know, you'll have a lot of unhappy campers in there, and they might follow him out the door. And as you said, they'll ultimately struggle to attract players. So I would agree. Yes, I think Spurs they're on a slippy slope at the moment. They could find themselves around Arsenal level. But I think Arsenal are pulling themselves out of it. If I'm honest with you.
You think they are?
Someone mentioned on our call last week, you know, Arteta's the wrong. I actually think Arteta is doing a decent job with what he inherited. There was a lot of players that I believe didn't want to play for the club. They were there for the London lifestyle, the wage. And I think, you know what, I think give him a little bit more time. And, you know, they're starting to spend money again. Obviously, you know, they had restricted their spending after the whole stadium, and they seem to have balanced the books. You know, a few Arsenal fans I know seem a little bit more positive now than they have recently. And look, they always compete in the cups, you know. They're always getting to semi-finals, finals and stuff like that. So I think you could see an upturn in Arsenal. Maybe not this year, but... I
think the fact you even said they compete in the cups, that just shows how far they've fallen. They're a West Ham, they're an Everton, do you know what I mean? That's what they are now, like...
So you think Arteta's not the man to take that club back up again?
I don't think he has enough experience. He has no history for us to know if he is the man. It's just pure potential people are looking at. Do you think he would have got the job if he wasn't under Pep Guardiola? I doubt it. He's not really an Arsenal legend.
Yeah.
No real experience. I think he's bought some all right players. I love Partey. I would have loved to have him in defensive mid at United. They bought a couple of all right players, and he cleared a few of the other ones out, but poor results. You know, the way they play hasn't been great. They've picked up a few wins recently, and to be fair, he got the FA Cup, of course, which is a big win. But I don't know. I think Ollie has more experience than Arteta, and I wouldn't even say Ollie deserves where he is. You know.
Yeah. See, I don't know. See, I believe the problem there at Arsenal at the moment is Edu. I think there's someone there making decisions who literally hasn't a fucking clue.
Like, and the owners are awful.
Oh, they're brutal. Yeah, they're brutal. Like it's stemming. I think it's stemming from the top, but I believe it's kind of plateauing at the manager there. You know. But
What do you think,
I don't
Mitch?
know. They just don't seem to have a backbone, do they?
I mean, they're just another example of owners who, buy football clubs. Like you touched on earlier, they got no sort of connection with the club, no respect for the history. I mean, even the fact the Super League, we all know what a bunch of crap that was.
Yeah.
But like to
especially
go
as a
Fulham
fan, eh?
Yeah, yes. It would have been all right.
He was hoping it happened so Fulham can go up to the Premier League.
But I mean, that is the textbook owners coming in, care about business. Nothing. I mean, the price of a season to get Arsenal is absolutely astronomical, and based on what? There's no real, genuine, world-class players there at the minute. There's no European football, top-class European football anyway. What's that base? It was always a working man. Well, it's working man's game, but it was always a working man's club. How's a working man supposed to go week in, week out with his two boys or what? It's not. He can't do it. And the club, they don't care about the fans, the owners. But you can say that about a lot of clubs in the Premiership.
Yeah. Business model. We're going back to this business model again instead of it being a football club.
Of course, yeah. And that's what it is. But, I mean, you look at the Premiership, it's football clubs used to be, things that multi-millionaires bought, and they knew they'd lose money, but it was a toy for them. Now the Premiership is a genuine place where you can make money out of a football club. I mean, you look at the deal, the Sky deal. The bottom team gets more for getting relegated than the winner of La Liga.
Yeah,
so it's a no-brainer. You can earn money out of the Premiership. I mean, I think I looked earlier. In the last 5 years, the net spend of the biggest club in the top 5 leagues in Europe, I think British clubs had 6 of the top 10 and 16 of the top 20. And not just to get Fulham into this week's episode, but Fulham was in the top 15 of net spend last 20 years, above both Madrid clubs, Bayern Munich, Leipzig. We're in the second division. Do you know what I mean?
Is that why you like getting relegated so much, is it?
I don't know what they're spending it on. Michael Jackson's statues. But it just goes to show you that's how much money is in English football, and it doesn't even you can't even compete with it. So
true. So just on that then, like we're on the topic of money still. So just briefly, why don't we touch on the other superpowers in Europe? Obviously, PSG. Thrown money around for years, and then this year they actually had a very good net spend in the transfer window, considering the players they bought, huh? Donnarumma, Ramos, Messi, free transfers.
Yeah,
Hakimi,
Ginny Wijnaldum as well.
Yeah, they like serious business going on there. Like, but where does that leave the other French teams? Looking up at them, going like.
I mean, that's why it was such a great story last year. I mean, to see Lille go and win the league was, I think, if you're a football fan and you don't support PSG, you must have wanted to see that happen, because it just goes to show you, after the Super League stuff, and football is, at the end of the day, it's still got that bit of magic. Do you know what I mean? And they went and won the league. But I mean, the business they've done is unbelievable. Messi. I mean, that's like a free transfer. I think he's probably paid off half his wages in the first week. You know what I mean? Same as Ronaldo to United. So it's shrewd. But they're doing well in that league. I mean, but what can you say? To who they're playing against. I mean,
it's substandard, the league, really, isn't it? So like, as a player,
the retirement league.
Are they all money? In fact, are they all money motivated though, or like, why would you want to go there? Like,
that's it.
You look at the. Sorry, Mitch. Go on.
Go on, mate.
I was going to say, you look at the Premier League. The likes of Ronaldo and all. Like, he went back to a real league where it's challenging.
Yeah.
Messi and all, and Ramos, like, they easily could have went to a club in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like, there's money in the Premier League. Like, they chose an easier option. And they might have a better chance of winning the Champions League. But winning the French League isn't a huge accomplishment when you're playing for PSG. I think every football fan in the world love the fact that some other team in that league beats them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
even
mad.
the start of the season, Lille won the trophy, the champ, or whatever it's called, the cup winners. Lille beat PSG and that as well. So they can be turned over, as we seen last week. They were beaten by Rennes. They had Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar starting up front. Like,
love to see it, don't you?
Then you go out and they get beaten 2-0.
Yeah.
I think they had like 2 shots on target the whole game or something. It was something ridiculous.
You know, the French league is similar problem as the German league. Once any team do decent, these big teams just poach everybody. You know, and Lille lost their manager and a bunch of their star players this season after winning it. They can't keep them because these other clubs will offer a lot more wages. I thought it was weird that for such a rich club like PSG, the fact that they got so many of them on a free transfer. So
it's absurd business. It's questionable though when you look at Donnarumma here. You know, his age, his potential. Obviously, that's Mino Raiola driven. That transfer. Yeah. You know, he's the prick of all pricks. Really, he's just bad for football business. I think. Like he's just the inflation he brings to the market is just ridiculous.
It's mad how one person has such an effect on the entire world of football. You know,
like we've seen it for years. Mendes had so many clients, but it was never the greed that your man Raiola has. It's just unfounded.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad.
Like these agent fees he's getting, the chap is probably worth 100 million, 50 million to 100 million as an agent.
Yeah,
and to me, he's taking advantage of young players. He's signing them up to these contracts. Okay, he's getting them great moves, and he's identifying the talent, and he's getting good wages and all that. But look at the reputation Pogba and all have because of Raiola. Look at Donnarumma, who was loved by AC Milan fans. I'm sure they are raging the fact he just left like that.
Yeah,
and Raiola is playing a part in all that.
And he's got Haaland now. Obviously, that's the next.
Fuck.
That's the next one. You know, like apparently he wanted 30 million in agent fees for that transfer alone. I think he wanted, was it 10 or 15 million for Haaland's father, Alfie, like something.
I mean, I remember years ago, well, it's obviously probably still like it now, didn't a fella own Watford and he had shares in another club and there's a conflict of interest.
They still do the Pozos, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And I remember that, but that's not even the danger anymore. It's agents. An agent has more power than owners of a football club. If he's got a few players here, players there, he's touting them around. They tout them just to get them new contracts. You see it, suddenly there's a Pogba, prime example. All of a sudden, he's leaving. He wants to leave, blah, blah. Next week, he signed a contract extension. It's all games to get the best deal for themselves. And I mean, PSG, it's almost a team of mercenaries. I mean, let's be honest, them players, if they had any ambition, they've done it all. Don't get me wrong. You got Ramos, you got Messi and all of this. But if you had any ambition, you'd be going to the Premiership, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would have a season in the Premiership, test yourself, and off you go. But, you know, they're there. And it put Messi, I mean, we're sure we're touching it later, the old Messi, Ronaldo. I don't want to kick off straight away. But I mean, he went down in my estimations for that.
Yeah,
I mean, Ronaldo at his age, he's just come to the Premiership and tested himself. And he could fall flat on his face. He's putting himself out there for everyone. Yeah. But, I mean...
Does that lead you then to question the rest of the PSG boys who are younger and maybe not as successful as Messi and Ramos? Like, surely they should be looking to go to a more competitive league. You know, Marquinhos, Verratti, they'd probably walk into any team in the world.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think Paris as well is probably like almost like a perfect storm. I mean, Paris is great. It must be like a playground for a millionaire. Do you know what I mean? And for their lifestyle and their missuses, and it's probably a great place to live. And that's it. It's fashionable. It's getting a lot of money, and they're winning every week. Or well, not at the minute, but in general, win a lot and probably think, well, I'll go there, pick up a few medals, and pick up my money. But for me, if you have any ambition, you'd be playing in the Premiership.
That's why I have a lot more respect for the likes of Varane and Ronaldo, not because they came to United, but because they came for a real challenge. Look at Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva at Chelsea.
Yeah,
I respect that. He's an older guy, and he was like, "Fuck, I want to give it a shot. I want to get a year or two in the Premier League."
Now, he's been a fucking revelation. The composure that man has is unbelievable.
That's because he has ancient wisdom, isn't it?
Like, he sees things that nobody else sees, man. Like, I don't know, he's like fucking Yoda or something. So yes, look, that brings me on. I'm gonna run the next kind of discussion I had in mind in with this one, because it all kind of ties in. So, like, the demise of Spanish football. We've talked about England and France. We briefly touched on Germany being very similar to France. Bayern Munich, good side, great football inside, but Leipzig comes second. Munich signed their manager, their centre half, and their captain. Like, that's going to be the same old story year in, year out in Germany, I think. But then, obviously, Spain's a little different, isn't it? We have seen Real Madrid and Barcelona, two dominant teams for decades. They've essentially crumbled, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The clubs, the structures.
I think it shows the desperation they had for that European Super League to go ahead. Like, when that crumbled, only weeks later did all this thing, like all this the problems with Real and Barca and their money. That only came into the media weeks after that crumbled. They were desperate to get that over the line, to save themselves.
To financially bankroll themselves. Like,
That's it.
You think,
They knew they weren't going to be able to compete in the Champions League at that level. All right, Real Madrid are doing all right in the league. They're top of the league, so they're surviving. As you said, in a poor-ish Spanish league. Nothing to what it used to be like 5-10 years ago.
No, Jesus Christ, no.
I just think Spanish football was just a bit of a turn-off, to be honest. I stopped watching it. Because and I remember the game, I was watching El Clasico, and I'm watching Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, all these top players, like stars everywhere, Benzema, everyone, every 5 minutes diving on the floor, asking for a yellow card, surrounding the ref. All the things that, don't get me wrong, we have that in the Premiership, but it's not part of our footballing culture. Do you know what I mean? It's frowned upon. If that happens on a Saturday afternoon and you're in the crowd, you're getting some abuse. But in Spain, it's like it's accepted. I'm watching the two best teams in the world, 22 stars on the pitch, and the game doesn't even flow for more than 30 seconds till someone's rolling around on the floor. And it's like it across the board. Half-empty stadiums, and it's a turn-off. And I think if any sort of period in time we've realised how much we appreciate fans, it's over the last couple of years. I mean, I genuinely never thought how much a lack of spectators could affect my enjoyment of sport. I mean, it was poor. The football, the boxing, the rugby, it was awful. And when they come back, but imagine that week in, week out in front of a half-empty stadium. It's not attractive to the wider audience in Europe, and that's why they're going to fall behind.
I think Spanish football has kind of been in a decline for a while, but the likes of your Madrid, Barca, Atletico, Sevilla to an extent, because they've been so successful in the Europa League, they've kind of kept the reputation of La Liga up there, because they had these players and they were churning the good players. But you look at it now, like they're all struggling financially. Obviously, we've seen Barcelona couldn't keep Messi, let alone keep Messi. They couldn't register half the new players they signed because they couldn't fucking pay them with the salary cap.
That's madness.
Pay cuts. It's madness.
You look at that sort of mismanagement. So Barcelona have got all them players, and they've only just realised they can't afford to pay them, the salary cap, blah, blah. Real Madrid are paying Gareth Bale the other year to not play for them. What sort of financial management, even in the most biggest clubs in the world, that is not going to work. It's not sustainable.
I think they need like a Mike Ashley over there for an 18-month period or something, don't they?
Well, and Real and Barca, like, they're pretty much like a government thing. It's not like privately owned. So, like, they had deals with banks and all that were just bankrolling them and giving them good interest rates and stuff. They were like the people that ran them into the ground, and you're seeing it.
And it's dodgy. There's got to be something going on there, corruption or who knows, but.
Like,
where's that?
I just feel sorry for the Barcelona fans. Could you imagine going to the new camp? Like,
them bastards have won enough over the years.
No. Hear me out. Could you imagine paying for a ticket, going to the new camp, and you've got Messi, Suarez, and Neymar playing the best football we've probably seen as a trio? for 10 years within that era. And now they're looking at Braithwaite, De Jong, and
I was just going to say that. Braithwaite, right, leading a line.
Jesus Christ! And then did you see that when Messi left, he came out and said, "I want the number 10." All right, mate, you were at Middlesbrough 8 days ago.
At least he's confident, the boy.
Yeah, he's giving out about his speed ratings on FIFA. I'm quick. Stop.
Danish won't be happy with you. He's the front man for Denmark, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But you know, like when
we'll deal with that another time.
Can you imagine being such a big, well-established club, worldwide brand, had the best players, the most success for so long, and then you have to ask Piqué to play for free?
I know, yeah.
What the fuck is going on? Like,
I think
how did it get that
Sergio
bad?
Roberto, Busquets, and Piqué took a pay cut so they could register Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
Like,
you'd hate Sergio
Aguero says, "I can't wait to Barcelona to play with Messi." So does the party. Yeah. And Messi's gone.
Yeah. They all got shafted there. Yeah, same with Depay, wasn't it? They use Messi to get these players in before they let it known that they have to let him go, and they knew they couldn't afford him for ages.
Oh,
no, that's right.
Yeah, even Laporte came out and said, didn't he, your man Juan Laporte, and said, "I was kind of praying that afterwards he'd say, I'll play for you for a year for free." Like that's, as you said, Mitch, that's not how you run a fucking business.
No, exactly.
Come on.
That's desperation. Like,
one of the best two players in the world, and I was hoping he'd play for free. Exactly. And then you've got Kepa Arrizabalaga on 200 grand a week at Chelsea. Come on. You can't expect Messi to play for free.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and even to let him go like that, if you knew the situation and you knew the financial, which they did, you're letting the one, arguably the best player of all time, leave for nothing. And you knew about it the whole time. So you could have cashed in a year before and got however much money and a hefty wage off your wage bill. Let him leave for nothing. In the end, it's poor, and I can't believe a club of that stature is being run like that. Yeah. But who knows? I mean, it might be the best thing for Spanish football that, you know, they are a bit reduced to going back to their academies. I mean, you've seen this year, we've got that Gavi just come through, 17-year-old.
So good.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Pedri was fantastic at the Euros. You know, now their players they seem to have just an endless conveyor belt of talent. And maybe it's the best thing for Spanish football. They're all going to start coming through now. Sevilla have been quietly building a decent side. They look all right. Yeah. Atletico seem to be there or thereabouts no matter what every year.
I think your man Chirezzo, the Atletico owner, he seems to be a very astute businessman. He always gets a good deal. He always he cashes in at the right time, I think, on all his players. As I've seen with Costa, we got 2 more years out of him. And then he started to fade off. They signed Lamar when he was peak. I reckon they'll probably ship him off now soon. And even just their buybacks with players, you know, like Griezmann, Carrasco was sold to China 2 years ago for a fortune, and they bought him back for an undisclosed fee. Yeah, like 12 months later. I think they'll be all right, but as you've touched on, I think Barcelona are just so lucky that La Masia just keeps. What's it? La Masia, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it just keeps producing talent.
That's right. But one thing I will say, I'd tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 to 10 years' time, German football is more popular than Spanish football. Yeah. Because it's just much more attractive. It's the fans are unbelievably passionate. I mean, now you've got a lot of English sides sending their top talents over there on loan. Yeah. And you're going to have more and more of that. I just wouldn't. It's just much more. They're on Sky now, so they obviously got a bit more money in terms of that, and it just shows you how far Spanish football's fallen. I mean, it's not for me personally anyway. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but it's not enjoyable to watch. The Bundesliga is much better to watch for me.
I remember years ago, you know, you'd have the Valencias and Deportivos competing at a high level in the Champions League, and Spanish football was probably at its peak around then when Ronaldinho was there, and Real Madrid had your Zidanes, Figos, that kind of thing. It kind of there was a kind of a lull there for a while before Messi, Ronaldo, then that reinvigorated La Liga essentially. But I think now they could be looking at a really bleak period. And I don't necessarily think it's so much that these other nations' leagues have improved dramatically. I just think La Liga has just drastically decreased in popularity and standard, and I think they could be in for a few more tough years.
That's the problem when your entire league is relying basically on two teams.
Yeah.
The La Liga was always Barca, Real Madrid, and the El Clasico was a big watch. They didn't do things right. They should have helped those smaller teams to try and compete, a bit more. Like, you look at the Premier League, there's no game in the Premier League is an easy game, even if it's the lower team. But you'd see Real and Barca like spanking teams 7-0, 8-0 and all that. That's embarrassing. That shows this, like, from the top few, the rest of them, the drop off, it's ridiculous. And no one's going to respect that, watching your league as a fan from outside. And Mitch, I agree with you with the German league. Like, they also have these like really sustainable business models by the looks of it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's it. German football, especially, like you say, they're for the fans. They like, what was the model we saw? It was big in the papers after the Super League, wasn't it? About they have to have the fans have to own a certain percentage of the club.
Yeah,
brilliant. That's brilliant. You've always got the best interest of the club at heart, and that's why fans are so passionate. And like I say, that's what you want to see. You want to see derbies where, the atmosphere is electric. And when did you get that in Spanish football? That's it, Clasico.
It's just a Clasico, yeah. That's it. I think with the German league as well, you look at all the owners, they're all club men.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Football people.
Yeah. You look at, Hoeneß at Munich, and then you've got Sport of Zorc and Kale at Dortmund. They played for Dortmund. They support the club. They want the club to do well. Ultimately, as I touched on, they're all still, I reckon, going to be slight feeder clubs for a while.
Of course, yeah.
But you can see that they're building in prominence. You look at Leipzig over the last few years.
Yeah.
Look at Frankfurt last year. They placed really hot. They fifth, I think they finished in the year.
Yeah.
They lost Silva to Leipzig, but they're competing, and it's a good level of football there in the Bundesliga. It's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
They're doing something right because, not only are the German national team always competitive, Bayern Munich always competitive in the Champions League. But you look at all the coaches and the managers and the sporting directors and everything that comes from Germany into the Premier League and stuff.
Yeah.
From the backside of football, they have it down to a T. Do you know what I mean? Like Klopp, Nagelsmann, Tuchel. How many more have come through the German league, and they're the top managers in world football now.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. So what do we make then? Italy, the other league, a bit of a resurgence there in Italian football, do we believe?
I mean, it's a similar thing to, that might be what Spain is going through now. I mean, Italy, I know a lot of the Italian owners of clubs suffered a lot in like the 2009, 2010, because the whole of Europe was in the debt crisis, and a lot of it killed AC Milan for a little while, and they're sort of having a bit of a resurgence now. The league's got more competitive, I think, since obviously last year. But I think for a little while you've seen, although Juventus has been running away with it, there's been a lot of the rest of the pack catching up. Atalanta have now emerged as a new club.
They're smashing clubs.
Absolutely, and they're great to watch as well. But I mean, there's always a danger there that the bubble's going to burst. I mean, you look at Inter, Chinese owners are coming. Chinese governments crack down on Chinese owners owning teams in Europe, and now they're trying to sell their stakes and no more investment. They're trying to get rid of the club.
Yeah,
it's not always good that money that comes into the club, and touching it before, but. I would say Italian football, I think it's testament to Italian domestic football, how many players played in the Euro final who are still in their league, who play for teams like Torino and Sassuolo. That is what you need in your league. You need homegrown players for people to get behind. I think it's one of the reasons why the MLS, with all this money and razzmatazz or whatever, hasn't taken off, because to this day, they still don't have their own stars, who transcend their own country.
Plus,
and Italy have it.
You know, the MLS, I'm pretty sure they're running it on the American NBA, NFL system, aren't they? There's no relegation, there's no promotion.
No.
Football
it's Eastern,
won't work
Western
with that.
Conference and all that bullshit. Yeah.
That's a nonsense. They're like, you can never be relegated. So no matter how little investment you put in, no matter how little you care, you will always have your club in your conference.
Yeah.
Football can't be run like that. There's a reason why fans all over the world kicked up murder over the Super League. It's a shocking system. But with the Italian league, you know, Mitch touching on Inter, like them owners, they owned a club in the Chinese league that won that league. And then in the next year...
Jiangsu Suning, wasn't it? When they went bust.
In the next year, they closed the whole club down.
Yeah.
Like, what? Who let them come in and buy Inter Milan? Like, what?
Yeah.
But,
and I was reading the other day, there's talks of them selling them, obviously, as you've touched on. And, you know, we've seen, obviously, they let Lukaku go. They've let a few others go. But I think with Italian football, it's not the old days of the late 90s, Calcio Italia and a Channel 4 on a Saturday morning. You know, I don't think we'll see those days again.
Yeah.
You know, with your Crespo's and your Vieri's and Shevchenko's. But I think it's coming back.
I agree.
You know? I think it's positive. As you said, look at the Italian team. Look at the Ballon d'Or. You know, you've got Barella in there off Inter Milan. He is smashing. He is brilliant. Locatelli, Chiesa, they've some good young talent coming up there. And as you said, they're still in Italy, which is a big team.
And winning the Euros where there was no expectation. Like they weren't the favourites there, but they did it.
No.
And the one thing, like, with that Italian league that I feel hurt it was the fact that Juventus won it so many years in a row. You can't have a league where one team just wins and expect anyone to really want to watch, because you can't take that league serious. But you look at it this year, Napoli, Milan, Inter Milan, Roma, Fiorentina, Lazio, and then Juventus.
Yeah.
That's a league. That's proper. There's competition there.
You've got Napoli unbeaten. You've got Mourinho coming into Roma, who bringing Tammy Abraham. He has been on fire since he's gone there. Like,
very smart boy.
Yeah. And to be honest as well, you as a football fan, I mean, if anyone who watched football in the 90s, if you don't remember Goal Lazio going on,
loved it. Every Saturday, I get up to watch it.
You wasn't a football fan in the 90s if you don't remember that. So
listen, I've such a love for Italian football because of that. I swear to God, I still, even over the last 20 years since that, I keep checking Italian results on the weekend and monitoring the league. I just love it, and it's great as a fan of Italian football to see it coming back. Like, I think it's really good.
I would love to see it have a resurgence to be as good as it was. I mean, like, I remember the old Fiorentina Nintendo kit and Parma with every single star.
It was brilliant. Up front.
Yeah, that's memories. That's fantastic. I would love to see it again.
Do you remember the old AC Milan and Inter Milan teams?
Yeah.
Oh, they were
exactly. Ridiculous.
It's unbelievable
talent.
Yeah, and it's sad, you know, when you look at some of the games these days in the Italian league, and to me it looks like they're struggling to fill most of their stadiums. Like, it's, they need to look at something over there because they were always full back in the day, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as I'm aware, there still is slight restrictions.
Probably
as far as I'm aware, but also you are seeing a lot more American investors coming into the Italian leagues now.
Yeah.
Serie A and Serie B. I think there's 8 American investment funds in there altogether.
They're taking over, man. They're taking over. Like this is their plan. It's the long-term plan. The Premier League is the Premier League's too expensive now. You go over to the Italian league. It has loads of history, loads of big brands. And eventually they get together in their little room and they set up this Super League thing, and then it's all franchises and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, the pyramids though, I mean, from the bottom to the top in some of Europe's other leagues, you look at the leagues that are struggling, like Italy and Spain that we touched on. Look at the Spanish Segunda, right? Now, some of them games are being played at like Real Madrid's training ground.
Yeah.
Like they're also the Italian B League and like Palermo in the lower leagues, and who some of these teams and some of the stadiums, the infrastructure is just lagging way behind. You look at to the Championship. All right, it's England and there's a lot of money involved, but League One, there is huge teams in the English League One with massive infrastructure. Even the German third division. I mean, I don't know if they're still there. Kaiserslautern in there with like a 40,000 seater stadium, one of the biggest followings in Germany, and they've got massive infrastructure. You look at some of the teams in the German third division. The stadiums are like Premier League stadiums. Unbelievable. And I don't know. I think from the bottom to the top, if you're not in that top league in them countries,
I think it goes to show in the Italian league this year, Salernitana got promoted. They've been out of Serie A for about 10, 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
And the owner had to sell them because he already owned a club in Serie A and didn't anticipate Salernitana would be competitive. And you cannot own two clubs in the one league. So he has to sell them, as far as I'm aware, So, as you mentioned, like the structure, he was just happy to take his penny with them sitting in that league. Never thought they'd get promoted.
I'd say they were a feeder team to a Serie A team. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Get young players in, throw them in there. And like Mitch, I agree with you. Like the English setup is unbelievable. You know people in League One and League Two. Like you know the names, the brands.
Yeah.
But if the Spanish league and the Italian league don't care about their own second division, they don't even care about their own second half of their table in their top division. How is anyone else going to care about it? You know what I mean? And they're suffering because of this.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I think they need to take a look at the bigger picture. The management of these leagues or whatever way it is, and restructure from the top. Do you start at the top because they're a mess at the top as well? Do you start at the top?
Exactly. It's just a mess. And don't get me wrong, the English league is by no means perfect. There is loads that English clubs could do for lower league clubs. I mean, even in the pandemic, all right, bigger clubs were saying, well, we don't have a responsibility. We're well run. Why should we bail out someone who's not well run? But for teams like Barnet going out of the league, right? They're facing bankruptcy. Two biggest sides around there, Arsenal and Tottenham. Now, it's Arsenal and Tottenham's responsibility to look after the smaller clubs in their area, I think. Because
I will be in agreement with that,
yeah. Oldham, desperate for cash. Man City, Man United, right up the road. Why Bury went out of business. Yeah. So ours is by no means perfect, but I do think there is a lot more, is a lot better than other competing European leagues. But, again, more can always be done. So
Definitely. Lovely. That's pretty much it on the top 5 leagues and the financial struggles and drama around them all. I was going to touch on Ballon d'Or. I don't want to get too into it. Have you seen the nominations? The 30 nominations?
I've got to say, the Ballon d'Or, I've always thought it's an absolute nonsense. Yeah. The whole thing, I just, for a start, any trophy that was started by like a French journalist is just immediately forget it. Then they amalgamated with the FIFA in 2006 or so, I think, and now it's thing. But it's a nonsense. Who makes up the list? I'm just looking at who's on the list. Azpilicueta, what's he doing? Wait, he's one. I know you're Chelsea, but
he's not Ballon d'Or nomination.
One of the top 30 players in the world. He's not. Even Mason Mount.
Did you see the criteria for it as well? It's to do with the activity outside off the football pitch as well, and
I
didn't even write it down. I didn't even print it because I just thought that is the biggest load of shit.
Well, if that's the case,
what you do on the pitch.
If that's the case, then Rashford's won.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. And Simon Kjær here as well.
Yeah.
Should have been on it. I agree, but
really though,
you can't.
Let's be honest. Take sentimental value out of it. He shouldn't be anywhere near the top 30. No, great leader, fantastic in the Euros.
Yeah.
Not one of the best 30 players in the world.
No.
This is what I mean. So if you look at their criteria, right, there's a lot of talk of Jorginho winning it. As a Chelsea fan, Jorginho is not a Ballon d'Or winner. Jorginho, there's a 39 that goes through Blanchard and it moves quicker than Jorginho. He is so slow. He's great distributing the ball, but if you press him, you'll dispossess him every game, every time.
Yeah.
For me, if Lewandowski doesn't win it,
Shocking. It's criminal.
I don't understand what the man has to do. Like, he has been sensational.
Like, he got robbed last year because they had to cancel it, didn't they? But he's hit the ground running this year. He's cracking in goals left, right, and centre.
Last week was the first game he hasn't scored in did I read the stat right? Was it like 7 months or something? Like,
more than likely,
21 games or something.
The thing is, right, he's lucky that he's done so well in the Champions League, because I don't think that the Bundesliga, no offence, it's a lot harder to score in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the fact that they've done well in the Champions League is what's getting him up there, because he's getting outrageous numbers. But would he score 40, 50 goals in a Premier League season in the Premier League? I don't know. You know,
it's open for interpretation. That's always the debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always Tuesday night.
But I'm looking through the list, and some of it is just like Kevin De Bruyne. Like, he plays every game with crutches. Like, so what's going on there?
Yeah.
You have Ruben Dias, who only went to Man City. All right, you've had a great season, but world's best player. Like Erling Haaland, obviously a freak of nature, but such a young talent. I think if they give it a little bit longer than that. For me, if you're got Phil Foden's laughable. I just saw that there. I was nearly cracking up. I think, like,
wasn't he injured for a lot of last season?
He was too busy off in Iceland with the young ones, wasn't he? What's going on?
I can't knock it for that.
Boys will be boys, huh?
But you look at, like, Gerard Moreno of Villarreal. Like, what are we doing here? It's a joke. I'd love to see if they're going to do this kind of system where you're given the best players. It's impossible to pick one best player because there's so many different positions. They should have a best attacking player, a best defensive player.
Like the way UEFA do it for the Champions League and Europa League and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've always thought that's a better system to it.
Busquets. Sergio Busquets of Barcelona didn't get a sniff at any of these Ballon d'Ors because he's a defensive midfielder. Now,
were you reading that? 20 years he's not been nominated or something like that. Yeah.
He ran. He was one of the most important parts of that whole Barcelona setup. He's the reason Xavi Iniesta was able to get the balls. He won them back. He was a machine. So I think you should have a defensive, because you look at the likes of Kante and all of them. These deserve recognition. It can't always just be about a striker who gets the most goals. For me personally,
I mean, the whole system is like it's just mates voting for their mates. Like national team manager, the team captain. Messi come out and said, "Oh, well, I'll never vote for Ronaldo again because he voted for him the other year and he never voted for his own mate." It's pathetic. I mean, you should have just changed the system. Change it. It should be like a player's player. Get the top 5 leagues in Europe. Every player in the top 5 leagues vote for the best player. What does the captain of the Faroe Islands know about playing against Lionel Messi? He's got him on FIFA, I say, and votes for him to the best player. It should be the best player that year. Otherwise, look, if we're going to vote for best on ability, just give it to Ronaldo and Messi every year. There's no point even having a vote, is there? If we're going to play who's the best player, the best that year. And I don't know. I just think it's a bit of a nonsense. It's probably something for the sponsors. Get some another couple.
I think they should just drop it. Like, at the end of the day, the fans know. The people who watch football, we will debate amongst each other who is the best, and we all have different opinions. Like, Messi or Ronaldo or whatever. It's the fans know what's up. It should, as you said, like, it's a bit suspect. These all voting for their mates, and you know, all this money coming in through sponsors and all. Like, it's nonsense.
Who's the best player in the world at the minute then? Of the last calendar year, who was the best player?
Calendar year.
Yeah.
Last season.
Last season. It's easier.
Like, I think that the numbers Lewandowski is getting. Yeah, the numbers he got is now
his assists as well. Yeah. His general gameplay was phenomenal. Like, that's why I would say Lewandowski. The year before, I would have said Van Dijk. To be honest with you, he was.
Oh, Van Dijk is a machine.
Fucking man mountain.
Yeah. Now, I think, at the end of the day, it's the Bundesliga as well. I think Lewandowski staying in the Bundesliga that long, we talked about ambition before. Why aren't you in the Premier League? Why are these players avoiding going to the Premier League?
Also, if it's the FIFA Ballon d'Or, where's all the players from the South American League? There's no one any good in South America. It's not the UEFA League, or it's I don't get it.
Yeah,
I think that's why you're right. I think something needs to be done. It either needs to be dropped or restructured. The criteria needs to be looked at. I was reading today. It was talking about the people that get the votes, and as you mentioned, what does the captain of the Faroe Islands know about playing against Messi? Sure, we may be voting on it then, because all he's doing is watching them on the telly. Essentially, you know. Then there was another thing about spoiled votes. Something like there was I think was it 8 spoiled votes last year because 4 of them only put one name out of 3 down, and 2 of them put the name of someone that wasn't even on the nomination list. It was something mad. It's like, what year is this? Like, it should be, as you said, a simpler approach. Who was the best player over the last 12-month period in this league? We work at it that way. I think it's the only way to do it. Attack, defense, midfield. Yeah. Poor goalkeepers never get a fucking look in. You know what I mean?
They've been in the papers moaning as well this week.
Yeah.
Mendy's been moaning. He hasn't got it. But they do. What's it? The Ivan. I'm sure they do. They got best goalkeeper Ivan Yashkin Award or whatever.
Yeah, the Yashkin.
But listen, I don't. Goalkeepers. No one watches football to watch a goalkeeper have a good game. So I don't know. They moan or whatever. You don't care. If you go and watch a game and it's 0-0 and you don't cut, you go, oh, the 2 keepers had a great game. I really enjoyed that, do you? You like it was 0-0.
Do you know what, Shane? You can tell he's a Fulham fan because they have no keeper. They used to getting goals slotted in left, right, and centre. Have you ever seen David De Gea?
Listen, I've got respect for goalkeepers. It's a horrible job, but no one cares about you.
Yeah.
Honestly, we don't watch football for goalkeepers, do you? So that's why you're not going to win the best player in the world.
That's why it goes to the goal scorers, because everyone wants to go watch goals.
Of course, that's what people want to watch. They want to watch skill. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kante and them players, I have massive respect for them and what they do. They are the reason creative players can go and do what they want to do. Yeah. But still, I would love one of them to win it instead of Messi or Ronaldo. Yeah. But if I look at why I watch football, I don't watch it for the things that I think. I mean, you watch it for the people who do things that you could never do. Yeah. You appreciate how good that was that they just done, and that is why you watch football. So for me, you give it to the players who have flair, and sorry defenders, but
I think the list is missing one clear favourite. Where's Shane Duffy at?
I knew he was going to say that.
Where's he at? He scored again, Mitch. Do you not see him?
What way would this list have been done about 20 years ago? Would it have been 30 Gary Greens on it? Would it?
I think you're reading out the Newcastle transfer targets list.
Lads, look, that leads me on to the final topic. We'll try to get it done in a few minutes. Both touched on it, the great debate, Messi, Ronaldo. I have a few stats here. I don't know if you've seen them today or looked at them, right? Messi, 938 games. Ronaldo, 1,083. Messi, goals, 753. Ronaldo, 794. Messi, assists, 315. Ronaldo, 226. Okay? So what that means is, in 938 games, Messi has a goal involvement in 1,068 goals. In 1,083 games, Ronaldo has a goal involvement in 1,020 goals.
So, it's bad numbers. I mean, there's always going to be people there. No one's going to unanimously agree who is the best. I'll be honest, I was always in the Messi camp. Always. Because, again, like I say, Ronaldo's got bags and bags of talent, of course he has. But he's also got the most out of his talent from, his athleticism, and he's just, his longevity in the sport is going to be unrivaled, I think, when he eventually does come to the end of his career. But Messi does the things that you look at and you're like, wow, I've never seen that before. Like when Ronaldinho done the flip-flap. Ronaldinho was doing things that I thought, when I watched him for the first, I was like, I didn't even know you could do something like that. And that's the same effect Messi had on me. Yeah, that's the same effect he had on me, and that's why I thought, you know what, that is it. That's what it's about. But then, like I say, I'm getting splinters in my arse sitting on the fence here, but he changed my mind a little bit when he went to PSG and Ronaldo come to the Premiership, and Ronaldo's still knocking in goals in the Premiership. For me, that will be, they're so neck and neck. It'll be, when you look back at their whole career, if Ronaldo comes and does it for this season, well, say a couple of seasons in the Premiership, I don't know how you can't put him top.
Yeah. Craig?
For me, I think, Messi is by far the better player to watch. I think he's the most naturally talented of both of them. And he does things that are just, it's hard to even put into words. Like, you watch some of it and you're like, how is this little hobbit getting through all these, he's just a freak,
Yeah.
For me, I think he is the better naturally gifted player. But then you have Ronaldo, who I don't feel had the same level of natural ability, but he had the work ethic to get up to that point is just insane.
Yeah.
I can't pick. It's one. One is naturally so good, and the other worked so hard to be so good.
Yeah.
Again, here, Mitch, move on.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Mitch, move over. I'm sitting on the fence with you. My arse is hurting.
It's very funny, mate. Come on.
It is a tough one. I think, in my opinion, I've always thought that, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think, who would I rather watch? Messi, because we've seen the goals against Bilbao and Bayern Munich. He beats players for fun. He's in and out, weaving around them all. They're falling over their own ankles, and then he's tucking the ball away. As you said, he's got more natural ability. I think he offers you a little bit more from a team perspective. But then you got Ronaldo, the desire, the work ethic, the lifestyle balanced. He's worked hard to get these stats. As you said, he didn't have the natural ability. So I'd rather watch Messi, and he offers more for the team. But if we need an equaliser with 5 minutes to go, I want someone with desire. I want someone who's going to work for it. And Ronaldo has that. So I think, to try, and we could debate about this until the fucking
get on the fence, come on.
Yeah, move over. I think we could do this. We could do this all night, but I think they're two of the greats in their own right.
I'll jump off the fence.
I don't think they can be divided.
I'll jump off the fence, right? I'm going to pick Ronaldo. And the reason being is, their goals and assists is relatively close. But Ronaldo did it in multiple leagues. And that's not easy. I know he played for some of the best teams and all, but he went out, Premier League, Italian League, Spanish League, coming back to the Premier League. I just feel to win so many in different leagues is a hard thing to do. And all the Champions Leagues and all on top of that. Messi staying in what was an absolute powerhouse of a Barcelona team in La Liga his entire career. I think that's, for me, what will make him fall just short of Ronaldo.
Yeah. And he's not exactly doing the business for PSG this year either. Wonder goal against City, great finish.
Yeah.
But he's struggling now. He seems to be struggling, and I think you two both mentioned it. I think when these both retire, you will look at it and it will be defined by the ends of their career. I think, and I think, as Mitch said, if Ronaldo can continue this season in the same form he started and possibly even go another one. He'll probably go 2 or 3. He's a fucking freak, to be honest with you. But if he can continue that, I think you would be right in saying probably Ronaldo, because Messi seems to have taken what I would class as the easy option.
Yeah, I'd agree
at that stage, and he's a couple of years younger.
Yeah,
So.
Still time yet then, mate. You might come and Fulham next year when we go up, But
that'll be too late. You'll be supporting Newcastle next year. And there's lots of room here. Look, I'll find